All right, guys. Look at this. This just in. A van.
Nathan, it's huge. And also, haven't we reviewed a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter recently?
Indeed, we have. However, this one is slightly different. And one of the main ways it's different is that it's silent and it hugs trees. In fact, it's almost a green-blue because it loves the environment.
I
That's
see.
what they
It's
say.
the eSprinter.
Yep. So come here and I'll explain a little bit more. Yeah, see?
Ah.
That's what makes it an eSprinter right there, yo. Yep, look at that.
I love the way they hit this.
That, I actually do like that. So it is capable of fast charging. This has, I believe it's what, a 115 kilowatt hour battery?
Yeah, about 113-ish.
113.
Yeah.
Okay, so at 113, that is a very large battery.
But I have a question for you, my friend.
Okay, go ahead.
Right? Because when you said, we have an electric Sprinter coming to the office,
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research. And I found that, if you look at this van, this is a longer wheelbase,
Yeah, high top.
high roof. And when you compare it to a turbo diesel Sprinter that they also sell,
Yeah.
the electric Sprinter costs about $15,000 more.
Well, it's just $15,000 better.
But here's my question. Is it worth it?
Yeah, it is. No, I don't know. Honestly,
Okay.
that's something for you guys. Here's kind of where we have to start thinking about this. This is not a van for mom and dad to turn into an Overlander.
Why not?
Overlander.
Why not? Couldn't you turn this into an Overlander?
What's the range?
273 miles.
273 miles. Okay, so if you had, I suppose you could put a lot of solar panels on the roof.
Nathan, by the way, why did you put tires and boxes in here?
Yeah, that's the way it came from the automaker. And I
Okay.
suppose they really don't want us to move it because if you look, they actually use tie wraps. They do not want us putting our own load in here.
They zip
I
tied
think
it.
they may have seen that one video where Alex put a van inside of a van.
Oh.
And they're worried about that here, which would be kind of cool to do,
I
frankly.
remember
That was
this.
an awesome video, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, this van doesn't quite haul as much as the diesel either. It's a little bit
Yeah.
less. So what's the difference there?
It's about 1,200 pounds
Right.
less because, like you said, this does have a large battery. By the way, the battery sits in this middle area underneath the van. But look at this. I am almost 6'3". They did not lessen the volume of this van.
No, as a matter
It's
of
the
fact,
same.
it is the same. If you were to basically take this shell off from this point forward, it's the same Sprinter van. Everything underneath it, well, a lot of it's been changed so it can accommodate a battery and an electric motor. By the way, only powering what? The rear wheels, right?
Yes, and we could
There's
actually,
no all-wheel drive version of this.
yeah, which is unfortunate, but maybe it's coming in the future,
Who
right?
knows? Yeah.
By the way, for 2024 and onwards, Mercedes freshened up their Sprinter lineup, right? There are no more V6 engines.
Yeah.
They're all turbocharged four-cylinder diesels.
Right.
And now electric. Let me see if we can get the camera under here.
Yeah, sorry, camera guy.
Oh yeah, you could. So you see that really large rear axle. There's also something funky. There, let me point at this. There's
Yeah.
leaf springs.
Yeah, those leaf springs look a little different, don't they, folks?
Yeah, it's right here. They are composite material. So they're pretty high tech, and also the electric motor is living down there.
Well, that makes sense because you want the center of gravity to be as low as possible. You already have the battery down there, and you have that. But there's more components in the front, which
Okay.
I'll show you in a minute.
So what I think we should do, Nathan, is after we finish kind of showing this, we need to drive it.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we also need to talk about fuel costs.
Yes.
Because that's a big deal as far as, is it worth it, right?
I think that at the end of the day, you're going to understand, and you guys will, that there's a place for this van, but I don't think something like this can take over all delivery vans. And that's exactly what this thing should be, is a delivery van.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. So once again, plenty of headroom.
Right.
As soon as I clear this doorway, like any other Sprinter van.
And that's something very important for you guys, and we're going to note this later. Way up there is the camera, and that camera is pretty important in a van like this, and you'll see why in just a moment.
Actually, there are two cameras, one pointing slightly downward and one pointing
Sorry,
outward.
cameras. Yeah, I forgot
Yes.
to put a little bit of that. Let's look
and-
under the hood.
Okay, is there going to be another engine under there?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Well, it's Mercedes-Benz, so it's AMG. Yeah, no, it's not AMG.
so if this was a standard diesel power plant, which is a four-cylinder diesel, with this configuration, 170-inch wheelbase, high roof. This would cost $56,000 to start.
As a base model, yeah.
This costs $71,000 to start.
Yep.
Which is a considerable more higher investment.
Yes. Ah, look at what you have here.
Hold on, down, down, down. Okay, there it is.
So, inverter, more components.
You know what this looks like? This looks like an actual power plant.
Yeah, it does, although it's really not. What
No.
you have here is, some conduits and whatnot leading to the front. This is all going to this where the charger would be plugged in.
There was
over
also
here.
a radiator stack for cooling, because you do have to cool or heat up, warm up the batteries
Right.
and or the motor
Yeah.
as it's working. There's also the inverter, of course your brakes, and look at the size of this. Your windshield washer.
That is important. Okay.
Wait, it says 5.5 liters. That's over a gallon.
They are German. They like lots of liters for many things, including the beer.
But you cannot put water in here.
Well,
Please don't.
I think the instructions are pretty explicit with that one. They knew it was coming to America, so they had to mansplain it, which happens to me all the time.
And also battery system. So really specific coolants, right? You
Yeah.
can't just grab any jug.
This is something where you take it in and have them do it for you.
Or your
because
fleet manager, right? I mean, if your company purchased this, right?
You just said the key word to this whole
Fleet
vehicle.
manager.
Fleet.
Yes.
This is a fleet vehicle. And when we start doing the math, you'll understand why it's a fleet vehicle. Because at $71,000, and that's a starting price, yes, there are certain things you can get in terms of tax credits and whatnot. And then on top of that, as a fleet vehicle, you may be able to get more. Plus, there's certain things through the city and the state and possibly federal. I mean, there's all these things that can stack up to make this a much more logical buy. But at the end of the day, it still is an electric vehicle. And there's been a lot of push against electric vehicles recently.
Yeah. So should we do the fuel cost quickly right now before we drive?
Sure.
So we were playing with a calculator before.
The calculators, you're
Can you see this, or should we go inside? So how many miles do you think a typical let's say contractor drives a year in the
probably
city?
Double the average, so around 25, 30,000 miles, something like that.
Okay, so 25,000 divide by an average diesel economy would be about 17.
Yeah, for one of these.
Okay, so 17. So that means you would use 1,470 gallons a year.
Yeah.
I looked up AAA diesel prices across the nation. There's a cool website, AAA gas prices.
Yeah.
And they said average price of diesel right now in the country is $3.80 a gallon.
That sounds about right, judging by what I've already seen between California and Colorado alone.
So multiply those gallons per year times 380. It's $5,588 potentially that you would be paying on fuel.
Okay.
Just driving 25,000 miles a year.
Okay.
Okay?
And then we haven't covered oil
Maintenance?
changes.
Yes.
Transmission fluids, oil, all that
Yeah.
other stuff that you have to do. A lot of that maintenance cost is removed. Should we take a ride?
Yeah, well, let's
Talk a little bit. while
show
we go?
inside first.
Oh yeah,
and
I want
then-
to show the seats. They're great.
Yeah. Check it out, guys.
Andre, there's a special compartment here.
What?
You don't know about this?
Oh, you mean the diesel filler?
Yeah, which is no longer
Oh.
diesel filler. It's just an open area.
We have to go see it.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
These seats.
When you open the front door, it kind of helps you see this.
Yeah, look at that. You could put.
Nothing.
You can't even put a phone in there. Wait a minute. Key fob. Maybe you could put the key fob in there. Great
No,
place to
I
store
would not
it. You
recommend.
okay, you
No,
wouldn't put it out there.
no. By the way, look at the payload sticker. So this van does have some options.
Mm-hmm.
So 2,332. Like I said, maximum electric eSprinter payload is about 2,650-ish, which is actually higher than some of the Bright Drop vans
Yep.
from General Motors. It's not higher than the capacity of an e-Transit,
Right.
but the e-Transit has a smaller battery. So Mercedes is trading longer range, bigger battery for a little bit of payload here.
I did a little bit of research, and your average delivery driver, and this is Amazon, this is U.S. Post Office, they're under 200 miles per day, and that is rural. And that's the most
In the
difficult.
city, it's probably less.
It's far less in
Yeah.
the city, and you have regenerative braking favoring you and better range.
And multiple driving modes that we'll find out.
Yes.
Well, do you want to show the seats? Do you want to
come
jump
here.
in there?
So come on, let me first let me show you from the outside. Yeah, that's a driver's seat, that is. And they added something very German to it, which I adore, being relatively large, and that's this. God, I wish all cars had this.
Oh,
This
it's
is
so comfortable.
thigh support. The seats are great. Now listen, we've driven the Ram
ProMaster?
and the seating position in that is not as comfortable as this.
No, definitely, because you're spending a lot. If this is your working vehicle, you spend a lot of time in it.
Right.
And you got to be comfortable, and this is comfortable.
These seats are remarkably comfortable, and this actually has a very nice steering wheel. Feels expensive.
Yeah.
Is that real leather? It feels like it.
It appears to be leather wrapped.
Even though this is a very green vehicle, they're still using cow. Maybe.
Well, I don't know which. It could be synthetic, Nathan.
It's a synthetic cow then. They're even more endangered.
Anyways, there's some optional equipment on this van, so don't anticipate getting everything you see here for 71 grand, because it does have some optional equipment in here. And when you power this up, which we'll do in a second, you will see. I mean, it feels like a Sprinter, dude. I mean,
I would agree. I've already driven this a little bit. It drives very similar to a Sprinter van. That's including a little bit of a delay when you accelerate, which I actually appreciate, because when it's a really snappy accelerator, which a lot of electric vehicles have, and you have a load in the back, that could be a problem. Let's fire this puppy up.
And let's go for a drive.
Yep. By the way, it's the heated steering wheel that I got here.
Well, it's like 100 degrees outside, so.
Yeah, I know, but there's a 2-level heated button right here.
Okay.
Yeah, liking that. Okay, so the start button's here, very similar to what you'd have in a gas vehicle, and I just turned it on. No, it's not going to do that.
Wait,
we have the
fan is louder than anything.
I know.
That's it. It's on.
There it is. Okay.
Oh wait, Ozzy is playing.
Yeah, but
No, we can't use Ozzy.
Well, you can at least leave it on so I know it's playing. Right now it's Led Zeppelin, which actually works very well with German bands. So can I show you guys something? Up here is something that's very valuable.
Oh, should I run outside and show?
Yeah, okay, Andre, go ahead.
Okay, let me run outside.
If you look behind me, we have a bulkhead, and there's no way to see through it, and there's no back window. But having this electric rear view mirror is huge. All right, so he's standing back there. So that's the one angle. And hold on. Andre, how do you switch the angle? Oh, never mind, I got it.
Oh.
Okay, so this goes to this screen here. Check it out. So you got that, and then you got that. So you can see kids, and so you don't run them over, or if you really want to, or something like that. So it's not. I know that might not be too interesting to you, but to me, having this clear thing set up is really good.
Well, what if you throw it in reverse? Can you see?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. So Cole, let's be careful. Okay, ready? So here comes reverse. It's going to change the angle. Okay, and I am now in reverse.
Oh wait. Oh, it's in the lower screen.
Yeah. So that's no big deal. Anyway, but there it is. There's Andre doing the Andre shuffle. There you go. That is a handsome man, that is. Okay, let's get going, bro.
First of all, pleasant experience already.
Very quiet, very smooth. And the ride is buttoned down. Now, by the way, to be completely honest with you guys, part of the reason why it's so smooth is because there's extra weight in this vehicle right now.
Yeah, so that's about 400 to 500 pounds of extra weight, which settles any work vehicle down, right?
Yep.
So it's really quite nice. And this van has 3 drive modes.
Yes, so it's in its first drive mode. Let me see here. So it's right below the start and stop button. Now we're in comfort, which explains the fact that there's not very jarring with the accelerator. I don't think it does much else though. Eco. So Eco begins to change things. First of all, I can definitely feel the regenerative braking is far more aggressive.
You can actually turn down or up the regen.
Right, so that's what the paddle shifters are for right here.
Yeah, and also because a lot of drivers that drive for work, maybe they're not used to regen braking, right? So you kind of have to be flexible with that.
So let's move on to the next drive mode, which is maximum range. Now this is going to do a few things. It's going to affect your acceleration, and I think it's definitely the maximum mode for your regenerative braking. So you're going to feel resistance because it's constantly going to clamp down and try to put as much power back into the battery as it possibly can. Which is this guy doing?
Which is good.
Yeah, which is good.
Yes.
He's going 10 miles per hour. You're going 10 miles per hour. Really?
It's okay. Well, this is what delivery people have to face every single day.
Getting cut off, having bicycles cross the front and tear off their mirrors, having people brake check them. I've seen them happen to delivery people a lot.
So at the top of this video, right, I asked, is it worth the extra $15,000, right?
Right.
And we talked about a little bit about fuel costs. You mentioned serviceability costs, right?
Yeah, very little service.
We don't have right now a good grasp on because we don't own a fleet of vans.
No, we don't, but we have owned electric vehicles, and their maintenance costs for the most part has been extremely low, if nothing.
Yes. So my wife owns a BMW i3 for about 2.5 years. We really just changed tires. That's the only maintenance that we've done.
So my daughter's car, which she beat the crap out of over 3 years, all I did was replace the tires, and I also had to put in washer fluid. I just needed washer fluid.
Usually, I mean, electric motors and batteries really are low maintenance, which is also good, right? So in theory, this starts to make sense if you keep this van in your fleet for 2 to 3 years, right? Maybe longer, 4 years. All of a sudden, the savings that you get from, fuel costs and maintenance costs start to add up.
The potential savings. Now, one of the big issues, and I know you guys are about to say it, the grid. So it depends on where you are. Some companies that work, FedEx and whatnot, many of them, okay, let's accelerate.
Let's blow by them.
Okay, we're gonna blow by our camera guy. My foot's all the way down.
I would say it's leisurely, but also like gentle and constant acceleration.
It is, and I gotta be honest with you, it's not quite as powerful as I thought it would be.
By the way, we're driving the more powerful version.
Oh yeah?
There's two of them. There's a standard electric powertrain, and then there's this kind of a more powerful one, more high output one. And all it is just kind of, it's the same motor. It's just kind of adjusting how much power it's able to provide.
Okay.
So it depends. If you drive a lot of highways, you want the more powerful one, right?
Right.
If you're driving mostly city, stop and go, you're not accelerating that much.
But yes, to get back to the point though about the grid and in terms of pricing of filling these things up with power, which is really the biggest obstacle. I think that almost every automaker that builds an electric vehicle, they've already done their homework. The vehicles are already decent. It is the grid that's the issue. So here's the deal. If you work at a company that does deliveries and they have solar power, or when they're using wind power, some other alternative to where it's not really draining the grid, so much the better. Right? That can actually work to your favor. Granted, there is an initial investment in order to put in solar. My house, Andre, my house, solar power, solar panels, and this is without battery backup, by the way, just panels, was initially worth about $15,000 to put in.
Okay.
I know you have it done.
Similar for me, yes.
Right. My brother had it done, so I know people who've had it done with various, you could get used panels and save a lot of money. You could do it yourself, whatever. But the point is that initial shock, yes, that can be an issue with the vehicle, but if you're not just using it to charge your vehicle, if you're using it to charge your house, then suddenly it's not so bad. Okay, back to what companies do, right?
But now there's also time, right?
Yes.
Because filling up a diesel tank takes about 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, but
okay.
If it's a giant diesel tank, but for the most part, it's around between 5 and 10 minutes.
Now, this van, you saw the ports in the front.
Yep.
It has a level 2 port.
Yeah.
So that's basically, you could set up even at your home.
Yeah.
So that could be even from 7 kilowatt to 9.6 kilowatt speed. So it would take about 10 hours to fully recharge one of these.
Okay.
Which is overnight.
Overnight.
Right? Which is fine. You come home from work, you plug this puppy in, and that's the lowest cost usually for power.
Yeah. And by the way, there's various programs and apps and whatnot that'll help you get the most power for the least amount of money when you're off peak hours.
Yes. And then there's also the fast charging, port as well, which is up to about 115 kilowatts. But Nathan, that's well, okay. So you can get from 10 to 80% in about 42 minutes, according to Mercedes. Okay. So that's like lunchtime, right? So you stopped for lunch, you plugged it into a level 3 fast charger, and it'll take about 42 minutes to get the bulk of the energy that this van needs. That's also kind of a good scenario, but a lot of people may be nervous about, running low on energy, right?
Yeah, and that's an understandable issue. Now, at least for the past 2 years, I've had Amazon electric vans going through my neighborhood, including
Constantly.
Constantly. And I've talked to a few of the drivers who think I'm not a complete weirdo by going, hey, tell me about your van.
Yeah.
And usually they all have like this prepared statement. I noticed, by the way, Andre, I'm pretty sure that's
Is
a
that
company.
like a PR?
Yeah, it's like a company byline that they have to go through and everything else. But one of them recognized me with TFL and was really hip. Just unfortunately couldn't show me the inside because there's certain things he's not allowed to do. But he was really honest about it. First of all, he loved it. And it was very warm in winter, very cool in summer. Something that's really important to these people. Way more comfortable than a conventional van. No fumes to worry about.
And also no vibrations.
No
right?
vibrations.
No engine vibrations,
So this-
no loud engines.
So this was his route.
Yeah.
He would go and do his morning portion, right? And then he would go back. He would have plenty of energy when he would go back, plug in, eat his lunch, and by the time he's done at lunch at headquarters, or they have hubs, then he could unplug and he would have enough to finish up the route, come back, return the vehicle.
Wait, they allow lunch?
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Bad
Yeah,
joke.
well, there's
Bad-
different levels of that too. Some
Yeah,
people do lunches on their own, but this is his particular thing
Yeah.
that he would do, right? So if you think about it, okay, that's where these things start to make sense. And then as a fleet vehicle, that's where they make financial sense, because you're going to reach parity very quickly, I think, in one of these vehicles, provided that it's doing that specific thing. However, in a rural environment,
Or in a very cold climate.
Rocky Mountains,
Yes.
this type of environment, I think a van like this would not perform as well and probably wouldn't be suited for it. And guess what? They have a diesel version.
Yes.
And it runs on ultra low sulfur diesel, which is actually pretty damn clean.
Yes.
So you have a choice, and I think choice is the whole thing. That's my personal opinion.
Totally. So yeah, so once again, not every tool is good for every job, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of good points here. It is more expensive. It's only rear-wheel drive. So, but when you have a 2,600 pounds in the back of it, you have a lot of traction, right? There's a lot of weight over the rear axle. Depending on your tires, you can go many places.
This thing really rides nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
comfy.
really,
It's
yeah.
comfy.
This is probably
And
one of the
I
more.
wasn't joking when I said, I think, for limited use, this could be your overlanding van too.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't kidding, because a lot of people love nature. They love driving slowly through the outdoors. And this is kind of good at that.
If you're willing to bring a portable power source and solar panels, and by the way, they're lighter and lighter ones nowadays.
Sure.
They've already shown that you can get around 30 miles, give or take, out of a vehicle charging in the wild if you do it right. And if
Okay.
you don't have heavy cloud cover or rain or snow.
Sure.
So there's all these various things that, kind of play into it. So yes, you could do it, and in theory, if you boondock long enough, you could charge your vehicle all the way up and go to another place and then boondock and then charge up, and you can almost do it indefinitely, in theory. Of course, oh God, Roman's going to make us do that if we talk about it too much, isn't he?
All right, well, there you have it, guys. This just in.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
You know what? If I ran a company that needed deliveries and it was local deliveries, these things would be on top of my list.
There you have it, guys. Let us know what you think. And oldtfl.com, as always, is where you can find everything automotive in one place.
Just as the man said.
And also t-shirts.
Oh, yes. So we have these new swag.
Yeah.
So go ahead and check it out.
You can actually link below this video and check it out.
Yeah, so check it out.
Thanks.